There are different things that happen when you awaken. You find yourself in the 3D and you are no more interested in the lies that have been presented to you. And many of you are on the journey, and some of you are not. If this resonates with you, great. If it doesn't, disregard it, okay? Um, but I wanted just to make it really clear, because what happens is after you, there's the there's a 3D, then there's a 4D, and then there's a 5D. And of course, there's more after that, but I want to keep this as simple as possible for those that are just coming online, because I've noticed there's a lot of talk and a lot of questions about it. But what happens is after you wake up and you want to make an effort and you start doing the work, most of us, what happens is we regress back to our religious upbringing, or seek after a new religious concept of some type to understand, because religion is one of the largest traps there is, actually. I mean, it's crazy because it's good in one way, and it does have good information, but it's mixed with a lot of deceit as well. But it's part of the awakening process. So I think a lot of people go through that. A lot of people either regress back into what they were raised and what their parents have taught them, or you are introduced to a new concept of a belief system of some type. But what happens is with religion is it is also a trap. It's kind of a fine line trap. Most of our wars are based on religious. There's so many religious wars out there that it's very deceiving, that if you don't believe my way, then you're wrong. So that's kind of what happens with getting caught into the 4D. There's more that goes on, and you can get into a lot more depth of the 4D. But to make it simple is basically most people, when they start doing the work, if they start doing the inner work, they start going in and they start connecting with their spirituality, the spirit within them, which we all have. So what happens is some people get stuck in that, and they get so sold on it because the information is really good. I mean, some of the information is very beautiful, sounds good, looks good, smells good, and so it's easy to get trapped. But what happens with the 4D is it is also a trap if you don't go on to the 5D, which is unconditional love. Because what happens is if you get so stuck on your religious beliefs, it becomes a control mechanism where those that are in the authority over the religious concepts, they have control over you in a way if you sell out to a religion of some type. Now, I'm not saying this for everybody, and I'm not saying this to disrespect anybody's beliefs, because I believe everybody has a free will to do what they want. But if you really want to escape the matrix, you will go one step deeper and realize that everybody has their own personal beliefs, and that just because something really is right for you and feels like the answer for you might not be the answer for everybody else. It's like going into another country and expecting someone in China to speak Russian or to, whatever. You know what I'm talking about. Is basically forcing something on someone that doesn't have the same feelings as you. And this is where unconditional love can come in. And comes in really strongly. Is in the 5D, it's basically people have so much of their own self-love and their own self-value that they allow others to have that same for their own walk. And that's where true freedom comes in, where we're not forcing each other to believe a certain way. Just because something works for, one person, it might not work for another person. And it doesn't mean either of them are wrong. It just means we're all different, and we all see things differently, and we all have different backgrounds, and we're all made up differently, and the way we process information is different. So it's really important to go beyond the concepts of religion. If you find something that works for you and you're sold on it and it helps you, it's a beautiful thing, but it might not be the same answer for everybody else. And this is where people get really stuck. It becomes a very touchy subject. And like I said, there's been many wars based on religion, that if you don't believe in my God, you're wrong, When God is one, God is love. And when we come to that one law of to love the Lord your God with all your heart and soul, and your neighbor as yourself, that's all we need. And learning how to respect one another. And this is where it becomes really, where you start to learn to really let go of things and learn to, because we get so insecure as humanity. It has been so, the way they process information and the way they're programmed is so, it's very toxic. And so we become insecure, and that's why self-love is so important, and self-healing is so important, because once you come to know who you really are, and you have your own self-love within you, and you know who lives within you, and that it's okay for people to be who they are. It's okay for people to follow their own path, and that it doesn't mean you're wrong or they're wrong, or you're right and they're wrong, or any of that. It just means that we're all different. And so it's taking it one step further. So the 5D is where you go into a place of total surrender and a place of total just being in the present, and not expecting anything from anybody else to be a certain way, to allow people the freedom to use their free will. It's that place of getting stuck, where you expect others to do what you're doing, and that's makes it right. It's like I said, it's having your own self-value, your own self-love. And a lot of people get real confused about that and think it's narcissistic, but it's not narcissistic in the way that that Source explains it. Self-love is learning to master your own darkness, is learning to master your own hang-ups, basically. And one of them is religion, learning to love yourself enough to know that this works for me, or letting it go, and realizing that God is bigger than religion. God never made religion. It's man-made. It's Muhammad never made Islam, Islamism, and Jesus never made Christianity, and Buddha never made Buddhism. Those are things humans created, and their control tactics for to keep instilling people in fear that if you don't do it this way, you're gonna lose out. And it's not like that at all. That's why love is so important, because love allows everything. And to really understand love is it can get really deep, to realize that we are all one, and we are all from the same source, but we're all uniquely different, and we're all perfect and beautiful the way we are, and we're all important, and we all matter, So I just kind of want to bring that on there because I've noticed there's been some different posts online where people are trying to figure out, well, what's the 3D and the 3D is really where you're still kind of asleep and you're just going with whatever the system throws at you and whatever, basically are still in a slave mode of just doing what you're told to do. But so many people are really wanting more than that in life. And even our leaders are finding that out, or wanting more in life, realizing that it's all been such a trap and that there is no lack in the world. There's plenty for everybody, and that we all can live in this world in peace. And that's what we're all reaching for. That's been the prayers of the masses. That's been the prayers of the collective for many, many, many moons. And that's what's going on. And I just kind of wanted to clarify that because I think that it's important. I think it's important for people to understand that, religion really can be a trap. It can be helpful. Like I said, there's so many good things in the religious concept, and that's what makes it so deceiving, is because there's so much good, but then again, there's so much, deception in it as well. So just stay free, do you, and love yourself enough to allow people to have their freedom. And we're doing it. There's so many people on this path, and it's really beautiful watching the world open up and develop into something that will be profitable for everybody and healthy for everybody. I don't like to get on here too much because I really think it's important that people have their freedom to figure things out, because then it becomes real for them. Because then again, we can only drop bits of information, and you can take it and you can leave it if it doesn't apply to you. So that's the most important thing, is everybody's path is going to be so unique and different, just like everybody. So anyways,